Here we go. For this tutorial, I'll call it just like a speed paint or a speed sculpt. I was trying to see how I could get the comic book look. I mean, not totally comic book look, but something close. You get. It hasn't been long since I started drawing, actually, like sketching and painting and all that. I used to be in film. I still am, actually, but that's what my first love is, filmmaking, visual effects, motion graphics and all that. Then recently I started to sketch, and I actually got myself my second wife. It's a Microsoft Surface. Actually, it's a Surface Go, so I mean, it's the real small one. But ever since I had it, I just fell in love with sketching and drawing. And this is like about a month ago. No, 2 months ago. And ever since I started drawing, I started to fall in love with it even more and more. And then I started to realize how much I have acquired in regards to knowledge that I didn't know I had, but actually did have. I just didn't know how to apply it properly. Like the knowledge from my visual effects training, from my filmmaking training, from just all the things. I realized how interwoven all these different types of forms of art, how they are very tightly binded, for lack of a better word. Alright, so what this tutorial, this particular clip is about is just to illustrate how easy it is. I believe anybody can draw, and anybody can paint. I feel that that's what my final conclusion has become. I've come to a conclusion that everybody can do it. It's just that there are rules. It's just like maybe you wanna have a particular result. If you follow a particular step, you get your particular result. Now, these are the steps that I've learned. Like, just to start with, you draw a sketch. Be very, very loose with your sketch. Just draw whatever comes to your mind. Sketch and sketch and sketch away. Then when you are done, like the stage that what's on the screen right now showing, this is the second stage. This is the inking stage. This is where you, from what I've learned, this is where you try and get your lines to be very, very straight. But when you first start to express yourself, just go crazy on your notepad, on your paper or whatever. Just sketch and sketch away. But then after that stage is done, you go to the next stage. That's the inking stage, where you try your best to now be more detailed about how you draw your lines. This stage is one of the very, very important stages, because this is what guides what your shading stage will look like and what your polish stage will look like. So how I'm getting to do this is in Photoshop. I'm using Photoshop, actually, and in Photoshop what I'm doing is I am using there's this thing in this Photoshop 2019 called the smoothing or something like that. It's somewhere on top there. I'm using that one to create like a delay with my brush. So when I draw a line, the line tries to be straight because it smoothens out the curve, so that all the whole jitter from my hand movement and everything will just become smooth. In that regard, it helps me to have very, very straight and nice lines. Then what I now do is I further enhance my lines by creating by using the eraser to create sharp edges. Like at the edge of each line, I'll soon start to do that. You'll soon start to see that in the clip. You see, I try to clean out the lines now. In the edge, I try and make each edge to have like a sharp line, sharp edge. Taper, that's what it's called, actually. Try and taper the lines. And when I do that, it gives it this it makes it have a very professional look. That's what I've in my studies. That's one of the key things I noticed that most of these professionals do. Sometimes you can have, like, if you have a brush that has sensitivity, like pressure sensitivity, you can do that without even having to go over it and clean and all that. But I kind of prefer this system of cleaning because it's accurate. I can actually put my creativity into it. It's not like just drawing a stroke and then hoping that the line falls in place. With this, I can actually just work on the lines based on what I want it to do. So that's the second stage after the sketching stage. Once you sketch and you have gotten to your heart's desire, you can now look forward to going to the next stage, which will be the shading stage. Oh no, it's just a flat painting. The flat painting stage is it's like it's one of the stages that actually sets the foundation to how your artwork is going to be like, because that's where you actually select all the colors, they choose the kind of colors you want the art piece to have and what you want it to look like generally before you move to the next stage, which will be the shading stage. So for like the flat the coloring stage, it's good to have an idea of what you want it to look like beforehand. Like now, this guy is supposed to be a tout, like, giving somebody a warning or trying to aggressively scare somebody or something. That's the general idea behind this. And the technique, there are many techniques to doing your flat coloring like this, but this technique I'm using right now is I'm using the pen tool instead of trying to just paint. This is more accurate because it just gives it one color. So what I do is I just use the pen tool and create and trace around the whole lines and get my color. Then I now set the right color that I want for. You see how easy it is now because I can change the color on the fly. But if I had to use my brush to paint, it would have been more difficult for me. So that's the reason why I use this pen tool to get down my flat colors first. Then I now can shade with the pen normally, and I will get all the lights and shadows in the right places. Also, one very, very good thing I learned during my when I was learning how to do all the painting and shading and all that is, I learned that it's always good to paint when you are getting to your painting stage. Just change your background to a default or a gray color, because a neutral gray, that's what they call it, or something of that nature, so that you can actually see both your light and shadows properly. Because if you are painting against a white background, most of the time what happens is you might be overcompensating for the picture being too bright, as in the background being too bright, and then if it's too dark as well, you might be trying to compensate for that as well, which in the long run, at the end of everything, you might have problems with how your picture looks like. Now I'm moving into the shading stage. This is where I try and create light and shadow based on there's one very, very important thing that I learned, and I've stuck by that. I actually learned how to do that during my time doing 3D animation, because I realized that it works. It's just something that works. It's natural generally. That law is, and if you use that all the time, you find out that you have little problem when you're trying to do your shading work. And that is, you choose a direction of your light and you stick to it. So if your light is coming from the front and above, make sure that every other part of that character respects that law. If it's coming from behind, make sure that every other body part on that character respects that law. Because what I see some people do is they put a light from somewhere, and then eventually the shadow is falling in the wrong direction or something. That it just throws people off. When you see that an artwork like that, you feel, even if you are not an artist, you just feel there's something wrong with this artwork. And that is one big problem. But when you stick to that law, you just find out that all your artworks just fall in place easily. It becomes so easy. So that is one thing that I learned to use. Another thing I learned to use is try and always do all your paintings on layers. As in every stage, try and have it on a new layer, because with that you can go over it with your eraser tool and create sharp edges, soft edges, and make your picture look good. But if you try and paint everything on the same layer, it gets to a point where you find yourself having a very muddy looking picture, because you are painting and then you are softening it, and you are painting and then you are softening it. Before you know, you would have a very soft looking picture. I used to have this problem a long time ago until I did some research, and then I realized that the best way to go about it is to paint everything on different layers. Eventually you find out that you have so much control, because you can decide, oh, you don't want the skin to be this color anymore. You change it and it automatically updates. So that's another tip that I have for you guys on this one. So far so good. We're still in the shading stage. I mean, this is where the bulk of the work is, because you have to actually just follow your lights and shadows, how you want it to look like eventually. Then the rest of it is just down to creativity. Like I said, I'm not like a professional artist. I just picked up my love for art just maybe 2 months ago. Ever since I bought my Surface Go, I've been in love with drawing, painting. In fact, I've used a lot of softwares to try, and I realized that the techniques I've learned, they work every goddamn way. Like even Blender, of recent I did some artwork, some sketches and some paintings on Blender, and I realized that, man, the laws that the techniques that I've learned on Photoshop is the same on Autodesk Sketchbook, is the same on, it's the same all across the board. So it's good to just learn the techniques so that whatever tool you use, you'll be able to apply it correctly. So once again, I'm pretty new to the whole art thing. I intend to keep going with it. I'm not only art generally, just creativity, both 3D animation, motion graphics, character design, set design, visual effects, like everything that has to do with creativity that I have passion for, I will try to share. Because I know that, there are definitely going to be some people who prefer one topic over the other, and if it can help somebody, then I'm okay. If what I have learned and I'm trying to share can bring a smile to someone's face, and to make somebody to be able to overcome one obstacle or the other in their career or in their line of work, then I think I've accomplished something with this. So here is me trying to create shadow, this is like the ambient occlusion. That's what it's called in the 3D animation world. The 3D animation world. It's called ambient occlusion, which just simply means light moves in straight lines, and when it hits a particular surface, it hits surfaces that are, should I call it perpendicular? I don't know what the word is, but when it hits the surface, anywhere the light cannot hit will always be in the shadow. So you have to have that law on check. Make sure that everywhere that two objects are too close together, there's going to be shadow in between those two objects, unless if it's facing the light directly. So just always use that as your tool to create the ambient occlusion. It gives it some sort of realism, makes it look good, and it makes it look well grounded. Some people call it contact. I think it's contact shadow. Some people call it, I might be wrong, because I like I said, I'm not a professional in this, but the thing is, I'm building myself. I've been doing this thing since 1999. But the truth of the matter is, I have not been this kind of guy that just sits doing just one particular type, one particular being. Man, I've not been like just doing one thing in the media industry. I've been here and there, both 3D animation, camera tracking, visual effects, everything. I've tried everything. So over the years I've amassed a library of tips and tricks that makes work faster and makes your workflow more efficient. So this is the eye. What I'm trying to get, what the eye would look like. I tried so many different eye looks, but I wasn't getting what I wanted. But eventually I had to settle with one, and this is the one I settled with. I think I like it because it has a comic book feel like, and the fact that the guy is kind of aggressive. I wanted the light to come from the side and see how it looks like. So alright guys, for this, I know this is just me talking. I hope there are some things you might have learned from this. If not, just still stay tuned to the channel and like, subscribe, share, comment, do what you do. My name is Cake once again, and hope to see you again on another video tutorial. I'll try and be more in-depth with my tutorials now and break it down even further. This one is just like a speed sketch anyway. It's not like a tutorial per se, but I just decided instead of putting a soundtrack behind it, I should just talk and see if I can drop 1 or 2 things that can be useful to somebody that watches this video. Thank you for watching my video. I hope you like what you see, and I hope to see you again pretty soon. Yeah. Before I go, please, you can follow me on Twitter. I'll leave all the links in the description. You can follow me on Instagram, on Facebook. We could be friends. Yeah. Do have a wonderful one. I know most people that will be seeing this video are probably will be at home due to this corona outbreak. Just try and stay safe, keep your hands clean, and God bless us all.